in its unionization levels there in recent years. But the battle on organized labor in terms of these Democratic candidates has become a lot more complex. The culinary workers, which came out suddenly to back Obama, their parent company, their parent union, Unite Here, also endorsed Obama after unofficially really backing Edwards for a while. They sent their chief of staff of Unite Here to be a chief of staff at the Edwards campaign and were commonly thought to be with the Edwards camp. Suddenly they switched and came out officially for Obama. Your sense of what's going on among some of the labor unions across the country as they face what to do about the Clinton, Obama, and Edwards race?
Well, one of the major untold stories is sort of the exponential increase of.
We're talking to Chris Kutalik, the Detroit-based journalist and editor of Labor Notes. He's based in Detroit. The Michigan primary just took place. But today we're looking at the landscape of labor around the country and how it plays into this election. Chris?
Sure. So the unions are basically the mobilization that's happening this year is particularly unprecedented in many ways. You have the AFL-CIO spending $53 million alone on political mobilization efforts. That's get out the vote efforts. That's mobilizing volunteers. They're saying they're going to mobilize 200,000 volunteers. They're saying their affiliates are going to put $200 million. It's at 55 unions that are members of the AFL-CIO, and that doesn't include the Change to Win unions, which of course are some of the other major largest unions who are pumping tremendous amounts of money. So you have an exponential increase in that, and so therefore you also have a sense that unions feel like they're playing, and union leaderships feel like they're playing real power brokerage politics. And so I think what you have, and it was a surprise for many labor observers that Unite Here didn't end up endorsing John Edwards in the beginning. You know, he for many years had been an active supporter of that union during the Unite Here's national bargaining campaign called Hoto Workers Rising. John Edwards toured the country with Danny Glover, made many appearances at protest pickets, and so it felt like there was a shoe-in in terms of his support. But what I think you actually see is a shrewd move by Unite Here's leadership in terms of trying to push some influence. They knew that Nevada would be a key state, as Hugh was talking about earlier, about the Culinary Workers Union, which is one of their largest powerhouse unions, locals. They knew that this would be sort of a key element to position themselves there. They knew that that they could make some intervention there that would make a difference. And I think they took that sort of balance, looked at it, and said, well, Obama is still in the ballpark. Obama also, for what they're supporters of his inside of the union in Chicago, those that know that he had walked the picket lines in the Congress Hotel strike. And so they looked at that and said, well, we think he's a good enough candidate. Let's put our support behind him and see if we can actually be kingmakers in this process.
And then, of course, there are unions like the Service Employees International Union, the largest union in the country that is actually pretty much split, isn't it? A huge number of its locals backing Edwards, its Illinois contingent backing Obama, and its New York and East Coast contingent, 1199 and others backing Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think there's what's happening is, and you're starting to see this friction not just in SEIU, but in many unions. AFSCME, which is the public sector union, had a big internal row over in Iowa. They'd pumped in almost $1 million of television ads. The AFSCME has formally endorsed Hillary Clinton. Its top leadership, big backers of Hillary Clinton. They sent in almost 200 paid staff organizers. During that campaign, many of the ads that the union paid for directly attacked Obama, and you had a bit of a revolt inside of there. 7 mid-level officers, vice presidents, sending in, basically writing an open letter, deeply criticizing the lack of democracy and the use of their union's money and sort of attacking. So you're definitely starting to see big frictions inside of the union, inside of the labor movement. As you mentioned, SEIU having internal differences, splitting almost 3 ways over various candidates. And unfortunately, I feel that with the big money and with the big support and with the sense of that there actually can be a victory, a Democratic victory in November for the presidency and in the Congress. I think you see that unions sort of racing ahead, trying to find which candidate will be in front of the pack, trying to be the influence brokers there, and trying to put their machines behind it and see if that can be the difference for in terms of influence once there is a victory and once the sort of labor's program can be worked on after that victory.
And Chris, finally, your assessment of what's going on right now in Nevada. I mean, stakes very high. I think union voters on Saturday in the Democratic caucus will be something like a third or more than a third of the voters. The struggle between the teachers and the culinary workers.
And I think that what's really unfortunate with this infighting around this is that, as your guest earlier had mentioned, the reason this was set up was to accommodate shift workers. And as we know, the caucus system in many ways sort of places some precedent and gives gives some priority to those who have much time on their hands. And as we all know, that busy working people find it very hard to come down, participate in the hours-long process it takes in the selection of a candidate. This was a wonderful innovation, a way to facilitate the thousands of organized, active political participants that, and this is one of the beauties of a good, strong union, is that kind of building of activist leadership. And so these caucuses were designed to basically facilitate their participation in this process. And I think it's really unfortunate that the sort of real politique that's happening inside of unions, leaderships, is creeping into this, and that rank-and-file workers will be disenfranchised because of it.
Chris Kutalik, I want to thank you very much for being with us, journalist and editor of Labor Notes. He's based in Detroit, Michigan. We are going to switch gears now. We're going to go to Washington.